And joining us now is Democratic Congressman Suhas Subramaniam of Virginia, who was inside the room for Maxwell's closed deposition. Congressman, thanks so much for taking the time. What was it like? What was that atmosphere like? And can you give us any kind of color in terms of Maxwell's demeanor?
Yeah, she was very robotic. She obviously repeatedly invoked her Fifth Amendment right. Once again, she was unrepentant. She seems to feel no remorse still. It's obviously harder on video, but, this is a pattern of her seeming to feel like, there's nothing to be sorry for. And so that was sort of the feeling I got from the conversation.
Maxwell's attorney told the committee that she will testify if she's granted clemency from President Trump. What do you say to that?
Yeah, this is her big play right now, is if I get a pardon from President Trump, I will tell you everything you want to know. But President Trump keeps hanging that pardon over her as a carrot. And while he does that, and until he stops doing that, we're not going to be able to get any answers from her about this investigation. And so why would she answer our questions? I don't think she had the legal right to plead the Fifth Amendment. I'll just say that. But she did. And she has no reason to ever talk to us if President Trump has a pardon waiting for her on the other side. And so this is going to continue to be an issue. I'm calling on President Trump and this administration to completely rule out a pardon. I know my colleagues are as well. We're going to continue to put pressure on them to do that.
Would you consider any kind of immunity if she were to answer questions more specifically and not invoke her Fifth Amendment rights?
She's a monster and she should be behind bars forever. I think if she wants to be transparent, if she understands that she's going to be in prison forever and that there's really nothing else to say or do except come out and confess, I think that's the scenario I'd like to see, is for her to realize that she has no hope and no way out, and that what she can do to perhaps absolve herself in any way, if she has any sort of remorse, is to come out and just talk about what happened in a transparent way so that we can prevent this from happening again.
And can you clarify, did she just give a blanket Fifth Amendment right sort of statement, or did she have to answer specific questions and just kept on repeating that she was invoking her Fifth Amendment?
Both. She gave a blanket Fifth Amendment plea, but then we asked her questions and she repeatedly said she invoked the Fifth Amendment.
A group of Epstein survivors wrote to your committee ahead of this testimony insisting, quote, truth, accountability and transparency must be the priority, not the rehabilitation of a convicted trafficker's narrative. We ask that Congress not allow this moment to be used to rewrite history or obscure the truth once again. There was additional comments from Virginia Giuffre's family, who wrote, Ghislaine Maxwell, to put it bluntly, we will not let what you did be minimized, softened, or rewritten. Congressman, what's your message to the survivors?
My message to the survivors is clear. We have to continue this investigation. We must get justice for them. They deserve it. They've been so brave, and they've done so much to date. And we have to continue to show them that we will fight for them so that this never happens again to anyone else.
Your team told us you plan to view those unredacted Epstein files later today at the DOJ. What will you be looking for?
Well, one concern I have is that they broke the law again. The administration did, by redacting the names, not of victims, but of perpetrators and of co-conspirators. And so that's a big problem for me. It's a big problem in terms of the law. And so I'm going to look for which perpetrators and which co-conspirators were redacted. And I would like to see more transparency around that, and we'll see what happens.
If you find more names, what does that mean in terms of the oversight investigation? Are these new paths to explore, new people to call before the committee?
Absolutely. I think, again, we've always said that we want the documents to do the talking. We want the evidence to do the talking. If the evidence is telling us that these folks have not been brought before a committee and need to, then we're going to continue to do that. And so, yes, we're going to be looking for names and looking for people that we want to talk to.
One of the questions we heard a reporter ask James Comer was about Maxwell being moved to this minimum security prison camp of sorts. And he basically said he didn't know the rationale for her being moved. I know Attorney General Bondi is supposed to testify this week on Capitol Hill. What do you want to hear from her? And I'm wondering if she could be forced to answer that question specifically.
Remember, she was moved to a minimum security prison after talking to Todd Blanche for about 5 or 6 hours. And so I don't think there are coincidences like that in this world. I think the reality is this administration is giving her VIP treatment and giving her better status for a very clear reason. And so, again, we're going to continue to push on this information and ask why that happened. But I think it's pretty clear why that happened. This administration is protecting her in some ways.
Congressman Comer dodged the question about Commerce Secretary Lutnick. Do you believe the committee will subpoena him?
We're certainly going to try. The problem is we need Republicans, at least a few Republicans, to join us in that, to have the votes to subpoena him. I would ask my Republican colleagues to join us because, like anyone else in the files, whether it's Bill Clinton or anyone else we have subpoenaed, he should be coming before a committee as well to answer questions. And so we're going to push that. Whether we have the votes is really up to Republicans, but he should resign as well. Howard Lutnick should no longer be in office. We're seeing what's happening in Europe with other leaders there, but it's not happening in the United States because there's no accountability right now, and it's up to Congress to have and give that accountability to people who are in these files.
Congressman Suhas Subramaniam, thank you very much for taking the time. Appreciate the conversation.